Probably all set for this final quarter, with Melbourne 6-12-48 leading North Melbourne 3-2-20. All single goal kickers: Spargo, Bedford, Melksham, Baker and Pickett for Melbourne. Comben, Taylor and Hosey for North Melbourne. There's Dumont laying a big tackle, and he's going to be rewarded holding the ball as well. So finally they can get it moving from the centre. James Jordan on the ping for holding the ball. Dumont just sends it deep inside 50. Seri with a big lead. Couldn't take the mark. Josh Wagner, who provided the highlight of the day with a big specky in that third quarter, clears danger, but Bedford runs it over the line and will be a boundary throw-in.
We touched on a few of the young Casey Demons players playing for Melbourne today. I've liked the look of Mitch Lewis, James Munro really crashing in, so
yep.
Good opportunity for them as well.
So boundary throw-in occurs now. Kicking it out of there was Sparrow. But North Melbourne have the numbers at the back here. This is Durden, who swings it over the top, and Aaron Hall can't quite take it. Baker inboard to Spargo. Interesting disposal out. Jordan sends it inside 50. Brown at the bottom of the pack, but there's a couple of Ds waiting at the back. Fritsch was there, but touched over the line and out of bounds.
As Tommy McDonald joins us in the commentary box. Welcome, Tommy.
Thanks, Benny. How you going?
Very good. It's a bit different sitting on the sidelines watching on.
It is up here for sure. Normally you're sitting in the stands. Nice to be up here in the press box. You guys have got to go pretty good up here.
Yeah, it could be doing worse things.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. As Brayshaw tries to get it going forward, Jordan almost won the free kick. We're just noticing, though, that in that third quarter, Angus Brayshaw, in his first game back, Tom, seemed to lift his output and really help the Ds get going forward.
Yeah, I think that's probably a bit of a confidence thing. Had the elbow injury, and I think you're probably just a little bit nervous to get started. You know, how's it going to go if you get a whack on it or something like that?
Yep.
And as soon as you get a couple, there we go, with a nice tackle there by the looks of it. Yeah, I think he just needed a couple of good hits to get going, and now he looks like he's back to his best. Certainly
crashing in now. Was the plan for him to play limited minutes today, or just go for it?
I don't know to be certain because there were so many names on the board. I'd say he was probably one of the guys with 3/4 of game time. But fitness shouldn't be the problem. He's been doing lots of running with his elbow, and that shouldn't be an issue. So I'd say he's probably 3/4 of game time today.
Good to go.
Beautiful from Bailey Fritsch. He assessed his options. He looked like he was going to round up on that left boot and have a crack at the goals, but he saw Baker at the other side, and we had James Harms in commentary in the second quarter, Tom, speaking about how Baker loves a goal celebration. If he's able to get 2 here, he might give it to the Kangaroos fans at Arden Street.
Yeah, if Saucy's having a shot anywhere inside 50, you're not getting a lead-up kick. He's having a shot. So, yeah, but Bailey and Spargo are the 2 guys in the whole team, not just playing here today, you want to lead up to. They're the 2 best kicks going inside 50.
Here's Baker for his second goal of the game. It won't have the distance. Brown was at the back. It trickles over the line and out of bounds.
Mitch Brown's one that we've added to the side this year. What's he been like to train alongside, Tommy?
Yeah, he's a really interesting player. He's quite tall and rangy, athletic, but he can play small as well. So he's been a good fit with us because I think myself and Sammy Wiedemann sort of playing more, traditional tall roles, and Mitch flips in and out of sort of being a high half forward, full forward. And doing a really good job. He's played well today. He's probably just missed a couple of opportunities in front of goal he should have taken.
And one that was probably picked up as a backup of sorts, but do you think he's one that could play round 1?
Yeah, I don't think he was picked up as a backup. I think he was picked up as a guy who could definitely play for us. And he's putting himself in the mix, I'd say, because of that versatility. And hopefully we've got Gorney back, and we've got a couple other tools back in the side, but I think he could play regardless.
Just had a shot there, but Lockie Hosey went basically into over the fence and lucky to hold on. In the end, the Ds will send it inside 50 through McCaffrey, but leading out and taking a strong mark there is McMillan for North.
And you touched on the talls. Luke Jackson's another one that he could just about play anywhere in the side. Are you looking forward to seeing him this year?
Yeah, well, he actually will play everywhere. He'll do a little bit in the ruck, but it's probably more the plan for him to play midfield and forward, either high forward or deep forward. So, yeah, he will play a range of roles.
There's Marley Williams sending it up towards half forward. There's Oscar McDonald. Beautiful half volley pickup, actually. Gets him going forward. Brayshaw not held without it. And then a big hit from the side there from Comben, trying to assert his authority for North Melbourne. And we'll notice, particularly in the start of the third quarter, it's been quite a physical practice match, to say the least.
It has. Yeah, it's been a real focus for us. something we've needed to work on. Not a great area for us last year, but something we do pride ourselves on, especially in 2018.
It's funny because in 2018, you were essentially the number one contested ball team in the competition, and then obviously the drop-off last year. How easy is it to get that contested ball number back up, that attitude back up? Because that might be something that you might be able to control.
Well, contested numbers were still pretty good last year, but it was the method around it and how we actually used.
Okay.
Like we'd win contested ball, but we had no structure coming out of it. So there's no point winning a contested footy if you can't transition it into uncontested footy, which we couldn't do last year. So that's been the big focus, is to still keep that. But in situations like this right here, that wasn't ideal, but winning that contest and then spreading and using the ball going forward.
Okay.
And adding the likes of Langdon and Tomlinson, is that part of that, to get it to good ball users, good runners on the outside?
Yeah, definitely. Those guys will play that role almost exclusively, and hopefully add that dynamic to the team.
Seen a little bit of Tomlinson today. Looks like he might have been.
I think he was only a half.
Pack up the day. Yep.
Yeah, he'll have a full game next week, I'd say, in our Marsh game. And yeah, only a half today. He's had an interrupted pre-season with calf injuries, so he's working his way back into it.
Well, Angus Brayshaw's confidence is certainly right up. That was quintessential Brayshaw, bottom of that pack, winning a hard football. Wins himself a free kick as well. Tries to thread the needle, and he does too. Nicely picked up there by McCaffrey. 55 out from goal. Sends it in the Brown direction. Fritsch is there from the side, couldn't take it. Beautifully crumbed by Spargo. Baker tapped it down to Brown. Left foot snap. Just off target. That would have been probably the goal of the day if Brown was able to snap that one through. That forward line at the moment is working really well. There's some great cohesion down there at the moment. Almost turned over there by Bedford.
That's been a huge focus for us, trying to cut these ones out. So this will be an important play for us to try and turn this over before they transition into their half.
Zerha's there. Brayshaw will make him earn it as well. And there is Brayshaw raising up, and he's had an excellent second half for the D's.
And it's those little things that you don't necessarily need your best players in the side to produce, isn't it? You've got your Bedfords and your Spargos who can just put the forward pressure on and turn the ball over.
Yeah, and that's a great job by Brayshaw to realise that kick's going out wide, make the decision early and spoil that one out of bounds.
Garner came through, able to win it. Corey Wagner a little slow to get up for Melbourne, but Hall sends them forward. Nicely weighted kick as well. Better ball movement, no doubt, from North Melbourne. And now an opportunity for Paul Ahern to go back and have a look at the goals. Closely checked there on that occasion by Mitch Lewis. But now Ahern, former Giant, picked 7 a couple of years ago for the Giants, traded to North Melbourne, played the 18 games. North Melbourne haven't kicked a goal since the second quarter. Just kicked the 1 goal, in fact, since quarter time. So they're on the scoreboard, finally, and they've got a goal for it as well. They get their 4th of the day. 4-2-26 North Melbourne. The D's 6-13-49. We've played just over 8 minutes in this quarter.
Yeah, a few opportunities gone begging for the D's. Tommy, obviously goal kicking's been a big focus. How are you finding that leading into the season?
Yeah, today's been pretty disappointing from the goal kicking point of view, and especially from some guys who are actually good kicks. Mitch Brown and Bailey are both excellent goal kicks typically, and they've had a bad day in front of them. But yeah, we've worked on it a lot, and it's probably going to be a good test because this is going to be a bad day of goal kicking unless we kick 7 straight here. But how these guys address it, figure out why were they kicking poorly, and go and figure out what it was during the week, and we'll put some work in. So we've been focusing on why we kick poorly rather than the goals and points, and a lot of guys can tell as soon as it's come off the boot, so we'll have a big focus on that.
Oh, big clearance there from Hall, deep inside 50. High tackle though on the D's. They'll take the free kick. We got James Harnes's perspective in the second quarter about how he's feeling after a pretty big lift in running kilometres, particularly pre-Christmas. How have you found that from your perspective, being able from a club that's just been putting in the big kilometres over the off-season and heading into this season?
I wouldn't say for me it's a difference in kilometres. Like, we run a lot every pre-season. Yeah. Like, unless you're injured, and when you're injured, you're not doing as much. But it's probably been the type of running and the type of training. There's been a higher focus on more intense work early in the pre-season. So it's shorter sprint work, 60, 80-metre sprints rather than, full lappers and 2 lappers, which is It's actually more fun. It's been a more fun pre-season, but a lot more demanding. And into match play earlier, which makes it seem like you're not working as hard, but you actually are doing a lot more than you think because it's a bit more fun. So, yeah, we've got a lot of work in, but every other team has as well. So I'm not going to pump ourselves up and say we've worked harder because every team's doing the same thing.
Everyone's been talking about Darren Burgess, the new performance manager. Have you just enjoyed having him around the club?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with him. He's a terrific bloke and a guy who he convinces you why we should be doing what we're doing. He's not a stats nerd. He's not a guy who will just say this is what we need to do numbers-wise. He convinces you why you need to do this work. And he's just been a really fun presence. He's got some good stories from Arsenal.
Sure he would.
Which boys love. Like they always love. We love hearing about other codes, and he's a guy who's lived it. So, he's been really good.
Dumont gets the hand pass out for North, back to Atley. He sends it deep inside 50. Mackay's there having a run deep in the goal square. Socket off the ground, just off to the right though by Charlie Comben, through for a minor.
Good spoil there from your brother Oscar. How's he tracking this pre-season?
Yeah, I think he's had a really good pre-season. His body's changed a lot. He's a lot thicker through the chest. He's always had thick legs, but he's a lot heavier. He's put on 3 or 4 kilos,
right,
running better. So he's been solid today. He's playing as that last line defender, which is kind of you're not involved a lot, but you're doing a lot of things that you don't see on TV. So he's shutting down a potential kick forward that you would never know unless you're at the ground and you're keeping an eye on it. But yeah, I think he's been solid, but I'd like to see him get involved offensively a bit more as well.
And he took that break in the middle of last year just to almost a mini pre-season. Is his confidence back up and going now? I
think so. I think that change in his body has helped him with that. He seems to be just a happier person in general. He's a bit down in the dumps last year, which a lot of guys were when we weren't playing well. But I think he needed that little break to get himself going again, and he's been really solid.
22-point differential between the two sides. North Melbourne just seemed like they've got the game back on their terms a little bit more over the past couple of minutes. Bradkey tries to clear it. Have you seen Austin Bradkey's performance today, Tom? He's been able to force a step up with no Bruce and no Gawn.
I think he's done a good job. He's look, he's not someone we're expecting to play probably a heap of senior footy this year, but his development's been really good. His work on his fitness, he's got more to go with his body. But I've liked the way his hands are actually quite good. And when he gets his hands up and he jumps at a footy, he looks pretty dangerous. So I think he's taken a good step forward today. Former
basketballer, Category B rookie at the moment. So is he a real long-term sort of prospect for the club?
Yeah, definitely. And all the ruckmen are. There's not many you get straight away that are like Luke Jackson's not going to play a heap of ruck this year. Yep. But that'll continue to grow going forward. So it takes them a while. Like if you're going against Maxi Gawn in your first year, you're not going to win a heap of hit-outs or win a lot of battles around the ground. And on that, Gawney obviously named captain during the week. A real positive step forward for the club? Yes, yeah, very exciting. Max is a good friend of mine. I'm pumped for him. I think it'll suit him. I know he's a different personality type than maybe most captains would be, but yes, I think he'll love it. He'll thrive on that. He loves pressure. Like he loves pressure being on him. And so I think it'll be really good for him. It'll be good for the club. And one of the most, I think, refreshing things to hear is he's not going to change that style as well. Even though he's different to how most captains go about their business, he's still going to be the same Max Gawn that we all love and know. Well, you can't change your personality, because if he does, boys will pick up on it. The club will pick it up. Supporters will pick up on it. So there we go. He's been picked to be captain because of who he is. So if he changes, that'd be the wrong way to go about it. And just talk us through a little bit of the leadership structure. You look at the Brisbane Lions, got 9 in their leadership group. Melbourne gone with a very much smaller number than that. How's sort of the club come at that decision, and how do you see it sort of working throughout the 2020 season? Yeah, it's been a bit of a running joke. Christian Petrarca has been quite keen to tell everyone that, because Goody came in and said that all the players are in the leadership group because he expects us all to lead in their own way. Yes. So Christian's been saying that we're all in the leadership group and we'll all be in the meeting every week, which has been quite amusing. Everyone's had their photos taken for the leadership group, he reckons. But to be honest, I've been in the leadership group a few years before, and I don't think you need that many people in the meetings. I think if the leadership group just focuses on what they can control and they don't have to solve all the problems for the club, which I think we've been in the habit of doing so beforehand. And those two guys are more than capable of doing that job. They'll bring other guys in for meetings when it's needed, but keep it simple, focus on what they need to do, and they'll get the job done.
Was that something that was identified by the club as well, that the leaders may have taken on too much responsibility and tried to fix everything?
I don't know if it's something that was touched on, but, you know, those two guys can get the job done that 5 or 6 others that
Sure.
have done in the past. And there's nothing that says they can't bring a guy in every second week to have a chat to them, canvass the opinion of the group. That's their job, is to canvass the group for their opinion and the coaches. So they'll get it done. They'll be fine.
Umpire was about to blow his whistle for a ball up, but let the play go. Dorr attacks it well. Got it to Pittard. Great follow-up tackle from Corey Wagner, and earns a free kick for holding the ball. That'll please the coaching staff at the D's.
And that's how he really worked his way into the side last year, those sort of tackles. It's not always about just the disposals for a small forward like Corey, is it?
Good mark.
That's strong from Josh Walker. Took the 5 intercept grabs against the Bulldogs in the Marsh game last week, and Angus Brayshaw right in his hammer, but still too strong, the former Lion and Cat. Pack of players converge. It was Josh Wagner feeding it out to Hoare. Bounce good for Brayshaw, and then the turn straight away. Big highlight from Angus Brayshaw. He gets the D's going as well. Munro links up with Bedford. Has a good look at the goals from 45 metres out. Bedford slams it through. Melbourne's best play of the day, and it was started by Angus Brayshaw's work on the wing. Bedford kicks his second, and the D's have their first of the final quarter.
Did really well just to steady himself in those last few steps as he approached the goal. He was running pretty quick, so a nice, balanced, composed finish from Toby Bedford.
Toby's had a really good pre-season. He's always been fit. He's a good athlete, but this is the sort of stuff he's worked on. His kicking's improved so much, and that sort of finish. Oh, he's missed a couple of set shots today. He should have had a massive day, to be honest, but that sort of finish is a big step forward for him.
Because he arrived a couple of years ago at the D's as a really skinny kid as well, but he looks like he's put on a fair bit of size.
Yeah, he's getting bigger. He's getting much bigger, and he's got extreme agility, great pace, and he's our second best endurance runner. So he's got a good combination there. But that sort of finishing ability is what can get him in the team.
So Melbourne almost doubled the score of North Melbourne in this one. Look to try and get it out again, and Brayshaw has probably been BOG in the second half alone. Tyson ran away from Courtney in the end. Linking up with Taylor, sweeps it to Tip and Woody. The nimble footsteps go to work now. Screws the kick on the instep, and it's a good one as well. That was a beautifully weighted kick. Sherry had the sit, and that's a really impressive play from Adam Tip and Woody to set up Tristan Sherry.
Clever use of the outside of the boot there just to put it to the advantage of Sherry and allow him to have a clean run at the ball.
Good to see Tommy Tyson out there moving around well. He's been a good mate at Melbourne, and sad to see him go, but he's had a full game today, and he had a rough year last year. He had calf injuries into a shoulder reconstruction, so I'm glad he's back playing. James
Harms had a very similar sentiment as well. It just, even though the club was disappointed to lose a player of Dom's class and quality, he left on good terms, and like all good things in the AFL, as Sherry puts through the goal, there's still a great bond between Tyson and the D's.
Yeah, all the boys got along well with him. He was there for 5 or 6 years and made some really good friends, and we still keep in touch with him quite regularly. I'll go see him tonight for dinner, hopefully, which would be nice, but I'm just glad he's playing. So I think he missed 2/3 of the year with his calf last year, and then had a struggling pre-season with a shoulder reconstruction. So he's battled a bit for the last year, Doma.
So Sherry gets the goal. So Melbourne with 1 goal in this quarter. North Melbourne with 2. They've got 2 goals, 1 to Melbourne's 1 goal, 1. Watching Origin tonight, Tom?
Yep, having a look at that. See Nevi Jetta out there having a run, which would be exciting. I was actually just watching yesterday the Foxtel 2008 game, I think it was, and saw Simon Goodwin out there kicking a couple of goals. And that game was played with a fair bit of intensity, so it'll be good to see that tonight as well.
Big fly from Hosey from behind for North Melbourne. Couldn't quite bring it down. He's able to wrap up teammate. So 7-13 Melbourne to North Melbourne 5-3-33. We're just ticking over to the 19-minute mark now, so it shouldn't be too much longer left in this game. Spargo tries to feed it out. McCaffrey's on the bottom of that pack and he's wrapped up. So another stoppage inside the arc. Curtis Taylor, in fact, Taylor Garner rather, right there for North. Spargo, clean hands to Brayshaw. Those two have linked up really well today. And a good opportunity here for Ellison, who takes the mark. One of several Casey players out there today, helping top up the D squad. Speaking of one of those players, McCaffrey again. he's got busy through as the game's progressed. Munro also strong. Just over the head of Sparks on that occasion. So the Casey boys playing a bit of kick to kick and unfortunately goes out of bounds in the full. So Pittard goes short to Atley, heading it back to Dorr. So take 2 for Majak, and he can't get around Angus Brayshaw. Great tackle,
that's
not
a good
rewarded
sign for the elbow.
He's been a big highlight for D's fans in this second half. When the question's put to you, Tom, that how can the D's turn it around? Finishing 17th last year, still the list hasn't changed that much. What gives you the confidence that you can turn it around in 2020?
Oh, it's probably 2 main points that come to me: is the healthier squad, less injuries, guys have had better pre-seasons or a more complete pre-season, and then a slightly refined game style. So a little bit more rounded, I'd say, with a holistic approach to the game. So not just focusing on just the contest, but having a more stable defence, trying to bring back some of that potency in our attack we had in 2018, quick ball movement. And then still putting on show our strengths of our contested footy and stoppage work, because we've got such good mids in that area and the best ruckman in the game. So they're the 2 main ways I'd say we can get better quickly.
And heading straight to Perth round 1 to test yourselves against the best in West Coast. You looking forward to that challenge? Yeah,
it'll be massive. It's going to be probably the hardest place to play against one of the best teams. It's probably going to be hot, very hot, I'd say, at that time of the year. So, yeah, big challenge for us, but that's pretty exciting for us.
How much does Maroochydore in a pre-season camp set you up for those sort of games? Gets you used to playing in the heat?
I don't know, to be honest. It's a very different heat there. You're playing wet weather footy in Maroochydore because of the humidity. So it's probably more of like a Gold Coast sort of game during the year when it is quite warm, but it's just so slippery. So Perth's more of that dry heat, and it's dealing with a blaring sun. So a little bit different, but it's hot in Melbourne when we train. Sometimes we go to the coaches while we're going to Maroochydore for heat training. I think there was a day that was 31 in Maroochydore and 43 in Melbourne. So sometimes it's a relief getting up there.
The dry heat as well, but also dealing with 60,000 Eagles fans as well.
Yeah, it's like the final we played there and the game a few weeks before that, there was times you couldn't hear the whistle. Like, the crowd is just manic. So it makes 20% harder to win a game there when it's that sort of conditions and the crowd like that.
Sparks got it to McCaffrey, and the ball trickles over the line and out of bounds. D's still leading by 22 points. What are some of the big positives you take out of today's performance from what you've seen, Tom?
I think it's been a really good performance. I think North had a fairly strong side in. Guys like Angus playing well, coming back from injury. Bailey Fritsch playing really well. Mitch Brown, Spargo. There's a lot of guys who will be pushing for the AFL squad next week in round 1 who I've been really impressed by. I think Tomlinson, who's just walking in front of us, got his half in and got through all right. Melksham, similar position. So that's probably the biggest takeaway. We had our guys playing well and hopefully in touch for round 1.
Well, thanks for your time, Tommy. Good luck next week down in Tasmania.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me up here.
That's all here from Arden Street. The D's run away 22-point winners.